If you're planning to bin your offer completely and start from scratch, don't. June isn't about revolution, it's more about seasoning. Imagine your business as a casserole dish. It's been bubbling for a while, it's got some really good flavors, it's got some good stuff going on. And then you taste it and it just feels tastes a little bit off, a little bit bland. So instead of chucking it away completely, we're just going to add a splash of Worcester sauce, maybe, and a pinch of red pepper, and maybe some oregano, just to get those flavors going. And this is exactly what the energy in June is all about. It's not about starting a new thing completely, it's tinkering with an existing thing. And I'm going to show you how. My name is Tash Lancaster, and I am a tarot consultant, and I specialize in pulling out business themes through the lens of tarot. And today I'm bringing to you my first ever dark data report, which is a monthly energetic forecast designed specifically for business with business themes. So, what I do every month, I throw a few cards in a very specific order with very specific ideas. And this is aimed at business owners, founders, freelancers with a very simple business themes that you can apply straight away because the energy is around you, energy is available anyway, so you might as well use it to your advantage. It's very easy, it's very practical. So let's dig in. But before we do that, do me a massive favor. This is a brand new channel, and I'm a proper newbie on LinkedIn, on YouTube. So please give me a like and a follow. Follow my channel. Give this video a like, just so algorithm recognizes me and likes me more, likes me better, and spreads me around. Okay, on that note, let's go. So the first card we're going to look at the theme, overall theme for the month. And I know it sounds a little bit more generic maybe, but it's actually not. So let's see. So the theme for the month is Five of Pentacles. Now, before I go any further, I know you guys going to be asking me. The deck I'm using is called Highly Sensitive Tarot. There you go. It's that pretty one. I think it was only like released last year. Very pretty. So yeah, that's my favorite deck. That's my working deck at the moment. Okay, so the theme I'm using is the theme for the month is Five of Pentacles. Now, when I think about number five specifically, before we go into Pentacles aspect, if you imagine a run that goes from ace to 10 or 1 to 10, five is that middle point. And when I think about that five middle point, it's the point of change and pivot. It's like you have tried things so far, they have worked so far. Um, but now we're looking at what do we need to tweak and change? What do we do you, and this is where the casserole is coming in. It's been bubbling around, bubbling away. It's been developing flavors. Now we're looking, what do we need to tweak and change and season? Okay. So if we were to apply this to your business, so when I think about Pentacles specifically and applying it through to the business lens, I think of it as the actual offer that you have to sell, your offer or service. And it might be that you have been thinking about it for a little while. You have been thinking, oh, I need to do something with it. Um, maybe it's been around for a while and you are kind of tempted to just pull it off the shelf completely. Or maybe it's something new that you've only been selling not for a not very long time and you're still kind of unsure. It's not the time to just scrap it completely. That's not the vibe. That's not the energy. The energy is like take it off the shelf. It's good. It's got a good solid foundation. It's got good bones. It's looking at it and going, okay, how can I tweak it? It's not when it could be about pricing. It could be about what it consists of, the components. So if you're a coach, and maybe you had an offer that had like, I don't know, 10 coaching sessions plus a face-to-face, or I'm just making it up as I go. Or if you are maybe you're selling a product and it's a bundle that you've been selling. So you may be looking at reshuffling the bundle. So it's actually looking at the moving parts of the actual the moving parts, or maybe you're like, I've had the bonus attached to this, but actually it's out of date now, so I need to take it out. Maybe add a new bonus, or we live in the world of AI. I, we need to adjust and adapt. So anything that helps people to use AI better. So I have, like, for example, with my tarot readings, I afterwards send people a recording, a transcript of a reading, but I also send them um, um, a list of questions they can just load into their AI, ChatGPT or Claude, whatever you use, to get extra insight. So it might be something like that. Maybe you're going, oh, I could just do this. I could just add that. So that's the energy. That's the vibe. So that's the theme. So we're tinkering. We are adding flavors. We're playing with it. We're not starting from scratch completely. We are working with what we already have and making it better. We are planning the next leg of growth. This has got good foundation. So if you have been tempted to dump it completely and be like, oh, I'm just going to start a new thing, this is not the thing to dump. That's not what we're doing here. But the next card I have for you is so the next one is action or focus for this month. What we need to focus on. And this is where it gets very interesting. We have Ace of Swords. Okay. So when I think about swords in business terms, traditionally in tarot, swords can mean intellect, thoughts, very fleeting. But when I think about swords in general, I've always identified swords in my head with Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory. Very smart, very clever, to the point of ridiculous. But like there's a lot of intellect, there's a lot of like um genuine thirst for knowledge, for understanding. It's very bookish energy. And then it kind of what naturally came out for me is I started seeing swords as very practical, business, logistical part. So I think of swords as the how. So if your pentacles are your what, the actual thing that you sell, then the swords become the how. It's how you deliver. So let's say you're a coach and you are tinkering with that five of pentacles and you're like, oh, how am I going to reshuffle this particular offer? And then what you do, when the swords aspect comes here, um, this is the how you deliver it. So do you deliver it on Zoom? Do you deliver it face to face? Is this a mixture? Do you have and do you give them an opportunity to contact you in between sessions? How are they allowed to contact you? Is it WhatsApp? Is it a different app? Is it like it's that? It's very often it's automations, it's tech, and its logistical parts. It's the how. So this is very interesting that you have Ace of Swords here because Ace is the very first number or the very first card of any run. And I always say Ace feels a little bit like a new idea. It's a new idea, a new concept. And I often say it's like a new idea when you have a shower. You were having a shower and you're suddenly going, oh my God, how have I not thought of this? And suddenly you're like, I'm going to do it. It's that. You haven't necessarily acted upon it yet, but it's just that new idea. So because it's a swords aspect, this feels like you are looking at a new way of at a new how. So maybe you're looking at a new marketing system, marketing platform. Maybe you have a course and you've been using, I don't know, Kajabi, and you're going, actually, I'm going to go to school or something else. It's actually almost like changing the platform, changing the tech, changing the how it's delivered. Or maybe you are deciding that you're going to add or create a complete new automation or like design a way of new client journey. So it's that idea. So it's at the point of idea. So it's very exciting. And I think this might be feeding into your tinkering with the offer element. So the offer itself is solid. It's just the how we're delivering, how it's done, we're looking at. But what's really interesting, so the next card is what to stop doing. And I love this card because um, we very often hear advice that tells us you should do this and do that and add that to your plate. And when you keep piling stuff up on your plate, we very often forget to subtract. We very often forget to actually drop things off our plate. And if we keep doing, we keep adding, it's eventually going to take us to overwhelm and a burnout. So what we're now looking at of what we need to drop. So if we're looking at a new thing, if we're looking at the new potentially new system, new automation. We're tinkering with a new idea, which is very exciting. And that ace, no matter what suit, is always very exciting because it's new. Because it's new, and your mind is like, oh my God, I want to play with it. So, what it's asking us to draw is interestingly the same suit, but it's Knight of Swords. And it's a really interesting card. And I never saw it in this card until I got this deck. Um, if you look at this closely, it's basically the fireman running away from fire, which is like, what? Why are you doing that? Um, but when I looked at it closer, I remembered I've witnessed a fire only once in my life, when I lived in London, and there was this. The fire broke out in the middle of the night, and it woke me up. I was woken up because of crackling noise, and when I opened the window, when I opened not with the window but the curtains, I opened the curtains, and it was like, oh my God, there's this huge inferno across the road from me, and the firemen. I remember there were quite a few people, like onlookers, just because we're curious people, aren't we? But the firemen were actually standing back. They were still hosing, so they had the hoses, so they were still throwing water, but they stood back because the fire just felt like it was going out of control. Now, I'm not a fireman, a fire person. I don't, but I'm guessing that at some point you kind of have to step back. You have to step back and just let that intensity to subside, and then they kind of get in with their hoses and tackle it. I think that's how it works. That it's not something I've ever researched, but this is just something I've witnessed and experienced myself. And when I think about this particular card, I think about those firemen. I think about that experience. And for me, this card is actually saying, walk away. There is something that's not working. Again, it's swords, it's the how. It's very logical stuff, it's very practical stuff. So this could be an old system. It could be that you fell out with um an like the thought that comes to mind is like being locked out of something, and you're like, oh my God, like I got locked out of active campaign, and it was back and forth, and it was just the guys we were trying to be helpful, but it was just not working, and I'm like, I just can't be bothered. It's not worth my time and energy. I'm just going to start from scratch anyway, because I don't know who was on that list and how old that list was and if it's actually even worth recovery. So I was like, I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to let it all burn. I'm just going to let it blow up and start again. That's that kind of energy. So you just kind of walk away. I know there's a lot of time and energy went into it, but this is the thing that it's saying, just leave it, leave it and let it burn, leave it and let it blow up. So this feels very connected to how things are developed. So if you're locked out of a system, if you fell out with um, a fell out with a system, maybe, or maybe like you've been using the system for a long time and suddenly they put the prices up and suddenly it's like super expensive and you're like, oh, what do I do? And it kind of forced you to look elsewhere. So it's that energy. And this card is like, no, it's just not worth. This is not the time to, this is not the thing to put your time and energy into. Look for new ideas, new options because they are available. The thing to put your energy into is this, is the into the actual offer. And when you realize what the actual offer looks like, how you want to tweak it, the this will present itself. You will realize actually this is what I needed to do because the old system that I was using, the old way of doing things wasn't working anyway, was out of dated, more expensive probably. And I just need something fresh, I need something new anyway. So there you go. That's interesting. That's very interesting. So we're looking at the how, we're binning the how, not the what. Okay, and the next one is actually before we move on, if you're still with me, if you're enjoying it, and if you haven't done so already, please hit like, please give me a follow because this is massively, massively going to help me to grow my channel. Okay, cool. Right. The next card. So the next card is the challenge. So what is the challenge? We've got Queen of Pentacles here. This is really interesting. So when I think about Queen, any Queen, I think of her as a director of operations, and she is okay. To explain the Queen, I have to put the King next to her. So they are towards the end of any suit, any run. So you start from Ace and you finish with King. Okay, so Queen is just before, she's the penultimate card. So the Queen is, I always think of her as a director of operations. So I think of a king as a CEO, and the CEO is sitting in his big office. Like he's worked really hard to get there. And he's sitting in his office and he's always looking outwards. He's always thinking, what else can we do? What else can we bring? What can we acquire? You know, he's sitting there going, next year we're going to open an office in Madrid. And I think we need to go to Paris. And he's already thinking, who do we know? What is that going to mean? Like he's already thinking, like he's expanding. He's like completely expanding his empire. That is his goal. That's what he's looking at. He's like creating new stuff, bringing new stuff, acquiring new stuff. Like that's what he does. Well, the queen looks inwards, and what that means is she is there to make sure that whatever king brings or creates, the company infrastructure is able to incorporate it all. That there are systems and processes to make it all run smoothly. So if we're buying a new company, we need to make sure that we integrate, people who are bringing on board. We are bringing on board. If we're creating a new service, we need to make sure that we have infrastructure to support it. If it's a product, we need to make sure that we have the people who actually create it, where we're gonna manufacture it. So it's all these questions. That's what the queen thinks about. That's what she considers. And the best way I can describe it is the queen knows, because the queen, she sees everything from kind of a helicopter view inwards, and she can drop into any department, into any process, and she knows how it all works. Like she knows there's a Rachel in accounts had a baby last week, and it was a girl, and it was delivered by cesarean section. She has already sent a basket of muffins to her, with like best wishes from the king and the queen. Now the king doesn't even know there's a Rachel on accounts, and that's the difference between them. It's not that he doesn't care. It's just like his energy is like completely outwards. So the reason I wanted you to understand the queen aspect here is because she is all about the big picture. She's all about practicalities. She's all about understanding what this is all about. Now, this particular queen is, because this is Pentacles, so this is again the what, and she's very practical and very physical. So if you look at this picture very closely, you can see that she's flying on this, like probably, I don't know, maybe a private jet, or she's flying business class. And if you look at her outfits, everything is very meticulous and everything is very intentional. Now she knows what she wants, she knows how to create it, and she knows what it's going to cost to create that thing. And that's what she's about. Like she's very, very intentional. And not only is she intentional about those details, but she's also intentional about the bigger picture, how she can cultivate those details. And that is the thing. And if we look at the business aspect, it's actually understanding almost the bigger picture of the business of your own business, where maybe where you fit with your business, like where this new offer, not new offer, but the offer we're working on, where it fits in your business, where it fits in your priorities, where it fits in the marketplace. And that's the thing that she's responsible for. Now, because this is coming up in your challenges, this might mean that you will be so engrossed in the detail, like head down properly, that you might not see the bigger picture. You might struggle to see the bigger picture. You might struggle to zoom out and look at what's happening. Now, the reason I'm saying this is not because, like, oh my God, you're not going to be able to see it. You can see it. This is just the heads up that with everything else going on, that with everything else you will be involved in, and I'm guessing this, leaving this behind might be a bit unpleasant, let's be honest. Um, you might be missing the bigger picture. You might not be able to see the bigger picture. So maybe it's just worth reminding yourself, if you're feeling very much in the trenches, maybe it's just worth kind of zooming out and just almost like doing a helicopter view or bird's eye view and see what the bigger picture is, because that's what she's here for, and that's what she's there to remind you. And it's almost like when you rise above all of it, suddenly you're like, well, actually, yeah, I see how that's unpleasant, but actually it's going to benefit me in the longer run. So it's that vibe, that energy. Okay, the next card is the blind spot. This is interesting. I quite like the card of a blind spot because it's almost like it's unconscious. You can't see it. It's all happening. It's there, but you can't see it. And this is such an interesting card because it's Seven of Cups. This is a very different suit. So traditionally in tarot, cups are all about emotions, feels, relationships. When I think in business sense, I think of cups as marketing, messaging, but also relationships as well. And this feels like these two are going to have a bit of a cross wire, and I'm going to explain why. Seven is seven of so if you look at this card closer, can you just see how she's almost a bit like so over it, and she's got all these beautiful cakes around her. And traditionally in tarot, this card is the card of like choices and decisions. In terms of not choices and decisions, it's the card of like too many choices, too many decisions. Like there's just so much to choose from. There's like so much going on here. And if you look at her, she's got so many cakes there, and she's like, oh, just somebody choose for me. It's almost that card of overwhelm. It can be the card of the what's the word I'm looking for? Um, Overwhelm. It's not necessarily overwhelm. It's almost like shiny object thing. It's like shiny object syndrome. So that's that Seven of Cups energy. And when I look at the cup, when I got this card, it almost got like the energy of you might get completely um, overwhelmed by tinkering with that Five of Pentacles, tinkering with the actual thing, working out the new how, and walking away from the one that didn't work or whatever setup that was before. And it almost like losing the track of what the offer is about, what the messaging is all about, are you trying to communicate to your ideal client, to your audience? Like, what does that mean? And it's almost that ADHD energy. And I'm not saying this lightly. I've never been diagnosed with ADHD, but I'm a manifesting generator, and the ADHD vibes are real. It's just so easy to get from one rabbit hole into another and get excited and get completely sidetracked and lose the sight of the thing that really matters, of showing up consistently, promoting the thing consistently, talking about, like, having that message and going at it over and over and over again. And it's so easy to just lose the sight of that with everything else going on. So this almost feels like the card of overwhelm, emotional overwhelm, because choices and decisions. And I think when you start playing with this one, when you start looking at new way of doing things, new how, you're you will automatically not you, you will automatically feel overwhelmed, but it's very easy to get caught up in that emotionally and be like, oh my God, you have all these choices and all these decisions and all these options and all this new stuff to play with, that you actually lose the sight of the relationship building, the messaging and all that kind of stuff. And I think this almost like comes together with this queen. It's like losing the sight of the bigger picture. So, and again, I'm saying this not to freak you out and be like, oh my God, you're just not going to be able to get your shit together this month. No, this is just to give you the heads up that you might struggle with it. That's all. That is literally that's the only reason I'm saying this. You can absolutely do this, but this is just the heads up that there is a chance that you will feel that way. And then you can take steps to make sure that you don't, that you still show up for your audience, for with the activities that you have to, with the needle moving activities. And finally, the last card is opportunities. This is such a cool card. We've got the sun. Now, I love this card because, well, first of all, when I think about the sun, it's the card, for me, it's the card of July. I know we're looking into June, but it's the card of July. And it could be June. And for me, it's the card of July because I live in rural Lincolnshire. And when I walk my dog outside, we literally have fields outside a village. And when I walk my dog, I see seasons change. I see agricultural seasons change. And I know that in July, all the um, fields are full and lush and green and ready. And it's an interesting there's an interesting moment, and I've learned this from Chinese zodiac because that was my rabbit hole at the beginning of the year. That we don't have this in our Western concept. We just have like four seasons, but in Chinese zodiac they have five, and one of them that I actually really like. It's almost like it's the summer where everything has been growing, and then it stopped growing and started ripening. And we don't allow that space for ripening in our culture, in our understanding, like in our wheel of the year. It's that ripening time where we're not growing anymore, we're ripening. And that's really interesting. So for me, the sun is when things have stopped growing. It's everything is fully grown, everything is lush and beautiful. And now it's starting to ripen. And that's the card of that's the vibe of the sun for me. So when I was thinking about this card, and I was like, this is so fascinating because the opportunities are going to be coming seemingly out of nowhere. You know, that whole myth about overnight success, how somebody suddenly gets on a stage on a scene, and like they're suddenly popular, they're suddenly enormously successful and famous, and you're like, oh my God, they had this overnight success. They're just like not real, but nobody saw the hard work they had to put into it. Nobody saw the sleepless nights, the rejections, one after another. Nobody saw the doubt and the tears, like that work that went into this perceived overnight success. That work is real. Everybody sees what is the result, the outcome, but nobody sees the hard work that went behind it. And that is the sun. The sun is the card of you start seeing the results. You start seeing the results of working really hard, putting in the work, and suddenly people, it's like opportunities, because this is opportunities. These opportunities could be you had a conversation, you nurtured a relationship with somebody on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm going to be talking about LinkedIn because I'm on LinkedIn. Like maybe you had a few conversations with somebody on LinkedIn, and this person is suddenly like, "Oh, can I work with you?" Or maybe you had a conversation with somebody somewhere else, and then suddenly be like, "Do you want to come and do a speaker gig or something?" or somebody comes to you and says, do you want a partner? Do you want to collaborate? Like that's the energy, and that is the energy of you've worked for it, you've worked hard, you've planted lots and lots of seeds around, and these seeds are now coming begin they're now grown, they are fully fledged opportunities that suddenly coming to you and going, do you want to do this, can I work with you, whatever that might mean. That's what the sun means. So because we have the because we're going to be working on a new thing, um because we're going to be looking at new aspect of how to deliver, and we're also going to be tweaking the offer, um and you're going to be like, oh, what, and this is not something that's going to be completely, it's not something that you will be taken over completely. Like it's not that you're going to be, it might be in your case, it might be that you just completely pull that thing off the shelf and like, right, okay, let's tinker with it. Most of us will probably keep it on the shelf and just be like, oh, what could I do? How can I make it bigger, better? And then how can I launch it? How can I start talking about that it's a new and improved version of beloved service offer, whatever that was. Um, because we're going to be so excited about that. There's a lot of creativity going into that, and Ace is always exciting. So I think there could maybe there's going to be an element of research. Which one is better? Maybe there's going to be an element of learning because whenever you introduce a new thing, a new whatever, you're always learning. It always takes time to understand and learn. So the thing I'm going to say is make sure, as much as you're going to be excited in all of this, make sure you do show up for those needle moving activities. So, whatever your strategy is, whether it's, commenting and having conversations with people in comments, whether it's doing an outreach and talking to people in DMs, whether it's doing your reels or lives, whatever your strategy is, for goodness sake, make sure you keep preparing for that, because the more you show up, the more you show up, the more you show up, the more seeds are planted and the more seeds are going to be ready to be harvested in June, because this is going to be coming out of nowhere. Well, it's going to feel like it's coming out of nowhere, but it's not coming out of nowhere. This is coming from the places where you've had the conversations, where you've you've created that potential for the opportunities to be harvested. So make sure you show up for those activities, for that strategy, and that's where the opportunities are going to be coming from. And they're going to be there ready to be harvested in June. So there you go. That's the energy of June. If you found this video useful, if you loved it, please hit like, please give me a follow. And if any of this is already resonating, I know we're just at the very beginning of the month. If any of it is already resonating, please let me know in comments. I would love to have a chat with you, um, and see how it's unfolding for you already. All right, my darling. Lots of love. Have an amazing June.